Hello and welcome back to In the Corner. This is episode 32. I'm Cash. This is Friday, March 28th. We just had the end of the Matchroom Next Gen show where we had the pro debut of the highly anticipated Pat Brown, the British Olympian. He was able to win his fight via fourth round TKO. We'll talk about that card. We had a pretty good BKFC card last night at the Hard Rock not Hollywood, California, Hollywood, Florida. So we'll talk about that. It's a pretty good fight there. We've got a very busy weekend in combat sports. You've got a lot of rematches. Mikaela Mayer, Sandy Ryan 2. William Zepeda, Tevin Farmer 2. You got UFC Mexico with Brandon Moreno, Steve Erceg. Some fights in Japan. We're going to talk about all that stuff. We've got some news. Conor McGregor may be retiring. Deontay Wilder is back this summer. Stuff with Jake Paul. You could be fighting Anthony Joshua. Is it Tommy Fury? Is it Alexander Usyk in MMA? So much to talk about. Let's hop right into it with the cards this weekend. So we're going to start with what just transpired in Altrincham, England. We had the pro debut of Pat Brown. So this has been hyped up for a long time. And I just want to start off by saying that I really enjoyed the fight. I think that they chose a really good opponent in Federico Grandoni. I think it's how it's said, but I thought that it was really good matchmaking for Pat Brown's first fight. I thought that Grandone, pushed him, and I thought that he landed a lot of shots on Pat Brown. And that's something I noticed, that Pat Brown is a very fun fighter to watch. And I just have the feeling that this guy will be a big star because he's a ticket seller, he has a fun style, and he's going to be in wars. However, in terms of his actual fighting ability, although I think he's very good, I think that he was getting hit a lot, and I think that he was tiring a little bit. Now, the tiring thing, it was his first fight, and he wasn't actually too tired. You could just see he was heavily breathing. He's a big guy. But I think he should work on his defense because he was having a lot of success in there, but was just taking too many shots. And I was hoping he'd get a first-round knockout or something, which didn't happen. He had a very tough opponent. He was able to still get the stoppage, when he just was able to wear his guy down and just land too many big shots. But he was taking some pretty big shots himself. He looks like he has a chin, but as you go up the ranks and you fight tougher opposition, you don't want to just be going out into all-out wars and, taking shots willy-nilly. But I thought that it was a really good debut, very successful event. They said that he'll be back out in June in Birmingham, so it seems like this Galal Yafai card is going to be really good. He'll obviously be headlining. You have Kona Walker, Liam Taylor, who, by the way, I'm just going to mention it now. He started off the fight, got a decision over a journeyman, so not anything too special, but I really like the way he fights. He's all action, and if you know Kona Walker, he's also all action. So even though I think Kona Walker will win that fight, it's going to be a thriller, so I'm very excited for it. So that'll be on that card as well. We know the plan is to do Shabazz Massoud versus Peter McGrail, and now Pat Brown as well. So that's going to be a really good card this summer in June. I'm very excited for it. Also on this card, you had Cameron Vong eventually stopping Jordan Flynn, which I didn't expect to happen. I thought he would win. I didn't think he would stop him. I thought that he looked really good. I thought the first part of the fight was a little bit competitive, and Flynn got off to a good start, but Vong was very clearly the smarter and more precise and just was boxing the better fight. Every round that went on, he got a little bit more confident, was landing a little bit more shots, and he was clearly the bigger and stronger guy until he just, was able to put his stuff together really well and hurt Flynn and didn't knock him out or anything, but just, was putting him not in the best position, and the ref called it, and I think it was a good stoppage. But it was a good fight. Really enjoyed that one. The one before that was phenomenal. Mark Dickinson versus Reece Farnhill. So Farnhill came in as the undefeated English champion. Dickinson, of course, had his first loss in the prizefighter tournament in Japan last year. He's had one fight since then. This was his real bounce back right into an English title fight. And going into it, if you remember, I said that I thought Farnhill would probably take it. I didn't think it would be a very good, very exciting fight. I was totally wrong. It was phenomenal. Dickinson honestly dominated the scorecards, and it was just super fun to watch. Dickinson is a very big puncher. Yeah, he may not have a lot of knockouts, but he's a very big puncher, and he throws hard shots, and he's a heavy hitter. and Farnhill as well. He had a lot of big shots, but, man, that was the fight of the night. I thought that it was thrilling. And, maybe even the main event, it was just a really good card altogether. The first fight of the main card with William Crawler was surprisingly competitive with Emmanuel Zion. They said it was a step up, and it really was. He got tested very well. He still clearly won the fight, but, I think it was a 58-57 scorecard, so he had to work for it. So I really enjoyed tonight's card. And you had Connor Tudesbury going the distance in his second fight, which was pretty good. And then you had Taylor Bevan, who had a phenomenal first-round KO. And, yeah, Matchroom's got a lot of really, really impressive young talent. and I'm excited to see what they do next. Last night in Florida, we mentioned we had BKFC 70, headlined by Luis Palomino, Howard Davis, in a very good fight. I had Palomino winning that one 49-46, as did two of the judges. One of them had a 48-47. No objections to that. It was a great fight, just all action, and I think Palomino definitely deserved the win, and now he's calling for a title shot with Franco Tenaglia, and I think that that's a phenomenal fight for BKFC to make next, and I would like to see it. You had Leonardo Perdomo in the co-main event with a 15-second KO over Steve Aurelius. That was awesome. I think that, honestly, that guy, he's going to be – BKFC's really pushing him, and I would be shocked if he doesn't end up being their champion one day. I know the champion right now is Ben Rothwell. I mean, I can't even really imagine those two together right now, but you can't tell me that wouldn't be a competitive fight. You can't even tell me that part of you wouldn't favor Perdomo. I mean, it'd be awesome. So I definitely think he will be a big star for BKFC one day if he's not already. But yeah, it was a pretty good card, and Justin Ibarra second round. And nothing too crazy earlier on the card. I do want to shout out Bear Hill. He had a really cool beard and looked crazy. His fight wasn't that good, but he still won. A lot of the fights, I feel like there was a little bit more decisions than usual, and some of the stoppages were a bit lackluster, but later on, and I enjoyed that card. Okay, let's talk about what we got coming up this weekend, because we got some good cards. So probably the biggest card of the weekend, I'd say, is Mikaela Mayer, Sandy Ryan 2. And to be honest, I really haven't thought about this fight as much as I should. It was huge last time. It was the biggest ESPN headlined women's boxing event in 15 years or something like that, or 20 years. And, I think they're going to do really good numbers in Las Vegas this time around. It was a lot better than anyone was expecting it to be. You obviously had the incident with the paint before, which probably shook up what was going to happen, because that fight was very close. Some people thought Mayer won. Some people thought that Ryan won. Mayer got the decision. And this time she's got to set it straight if she really deserves to hold that title. But heading in, it was a 50-50 fight. Leaving, it's a 50-50 fight. So I'm looking forward to this one a lot. You obviously had the big paint incident before, and I think that last time that really messed with Ryan's game plan. She was visually shooken up afterwards, and in the fight, she didn't really get going until a couple rounds in, and I think that she probably would have had an earlier start and done better if she was in a better headspace. So really glad that this one is run back immediately. I'm very excited. It should be an awesome fight. That'll be for the WBO welterweight title. As for who I'm picking, it really is hard to say, because I feel like Sandy Ryan, I feel like Mikaela Mayer may have edged the first fight, but I feel like Sandy Ryan would have, or I think I had it to draw actually, but I think that Sandy Ryan would have won the fight had the paint thing not happened. Granted, usually when fights like this happen, and I'm going to talk about it with Williams Zepeda in a minute, when you have close fights where the favorite doesn't win, they usually make up for it in the rematch. Now, I'm not saying that this is the case, because this was a 50-50, but I can see Mikaela Mayer winning this one, and I can see Sandy Ryan winning it. I'm really not sure, but I'm going to say Mikaela Mayer wins it. And it's a little bit more clear this time, but I really could be wrong. It was a phenomenal fight last time, one of the best fights of the year. Really excited to see this one run back. Also on the fight card, you have another WBO Welterweight World Championship, this time with the men's division. Brian Norman Jr. finally defends his belt after 10 months of sitting on it against Derek Cuevas, who I think is number 6 or 8 or 9, something like that. It's so weird, because this fight we know was supposed to happen in November. Norman got injured, and then they rebooked this exact fight, which I don't know why they're so bent on. It wasn't ordered or anything, but whatever. I expect Norman to win this fully. I don't think it'll be hard for him, or at least I don't think that it'll be I think it could be competitive maybe, but I don't think this is like a 60-40 fight even. I think that Norman should be able to win this fight, absolutely. And I hope that he does, because welterweight is about to get a lot more interesting with the likes of Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, Rolly Romero, Jose Ramirez, all those guys, Josh Taylor, all those 140-pounders moving up. The division is starting to unify. And there's some good contenders there that are waiting to get their title shot. Alexis Rocha, Raul Curiel, Shakram Giasov, Giovanni Santillon, honestly, Connor Benn. There's a lot of guys in that 147 division that we can make some good fights with, and I just hope that we get one better than Norman Cuevas. Also on the card, one of, honestly, my favorite fighters right now is Bruce Carrington. I know he's had the Suleiman Sagawa fight was a little bit dicey as to who won that, but he's been on a pretty good run, and he is in with Jose Enrique Vivas, I believe is his name. Enrique Vivas, who is 23-3. He's been in there with Joet Gonzalez, who just had a really good win a couple weeks ago, Eduardo Baez, Ruben Villa. Those are the guys he lost to. So not bad losses. And Bruce Carrington is number one with the WBC, I believe, and I think also the WBO maybe, but he is right on the edge of getting his world title shot. And it's kind of crazy he hasn't gotten it yet just because of how long he's been highly ranked. But I believe this one is a WBC eliminator, so should he win this, he will be ordered to fight Stephen Fulton. And I think that that's a pretty good move for Top Rank. They're not going to want to put him up with Espinoza or Leo for whatever reason, even though those are in-house fights. And Top Rank does not unify, I feel. So we're probably going to see him ordered against Fulton, which I like that fight. And, I'm excited to see Carrington perform. I hope that he makes a big statement because his last 2 or so fights haven't been big statements. And he gets this. He calls for a world title opponent. His next fight could be for a title. I don't think that it will be. I think he's probably got at least one more fight before he actually gets his title shot, but I hope he gets it this year. Emiliano Vargas also returns on the card. Huge prospect. He's in an 8-rounder against Giovanni Gonzalez, who's 27-2. Vargas should be able to win this one, hopefully by stoppage. He's got 10 of his 12 wins coming by TKO or KO. I fully believe that he should be able to get this one done early, and I think that he will. And we're hearing that he's going to return on the May 4th Inoue Cardenas undercard, which I would like to see, and hopefully he can get through this test and be back in Vegas in a month and a half. Okay, who else? Tiger Johnson's on the card against Kendo Castaneda. That's a pretty good matchup, I think. Tiger will certainly win, but it's a good test for him. That'll be an 8-rounder. And then you've got Emmanuel Chance, who makes his pro debut. Excited for that. And Derek Crocklem, who makes his second fight. So not a ton of fights on this card. In fact, the prelims don't even start until 7 p.m., which is quite early for a top-ranked card. And, looking at it right now, they actually only have 7 fights in total, which is really not a lot at all. But I'm not going to complain. I like it not having the super long fight cards, and there's some quality fighters on this card, so I'm looking forward to it. Jimmy Lennon Jr. is going to be announcing it. We know that Mark Chinook randomly, his contract with Top Rank and ESPN ran up, and they didn't renew it a few months before they leave ESPN. So Jimmy Lennon Jr. is stepping in, at least for this event, and I hope always, because he's one of the best to ever do it, and he doesn't really get a lot of work because he's tied up with PBC, who doesn't do a lot of events. And I know he goes to Japan, has some other stuff, but I hope that he's Top Rank's main guy now as well. So the other big fight card this weekend, at least in boxing, that's headlined by a rematch is William Zepeda and Tevin Farmer 2. So you remember these guys fought in November on Latino night, and it was a fight that didn't feel necessary at the time, and it wasn't because Zepeda was mandatory for Shakur Stevenson. They were working to make that fight happen, and then he decided to take this one in the interim, and he won, but it was very close. It was a split decision. It was 95-94 on all the scorecards, 2 of them for Zepeda, 1 for Farmer. And, questioned, okay, who really won? And I did think that Zepeda did do enough to win, but it was a very close fight. It was a fantastic fight, actually. The knockdown that came was actually from Farmer, not Zepeda. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this one run back. And listen, I've said it before. I just said it with Mikaela Mayer and Sandy Ryan. When something like this happens and people doubt the real winner of the fight, they usually make up for it in the rematch. And so I think that William Zepeda is going to win this one, and I think he'll do it by stoppage. I don't know when, I don't even know if he will, but I just kind of see that happening. I hope it's another good fight. Tevin Farmer was certainly his toughest test to date, and, I'm expecting it won't be a cakewalk this time around either, but I'm excited for this one, and should he win this, I want to see him fight Shakur Stevenson, honestly, this summer. I know that I just saw Eddie Hearn say that Shakur is okay with sitting out until September, October time to get a Tank Davis fight. I wouldn't put all your eggs into the Tank Davis basket. I would still do a big fight. Shakur Zepeda is a big fight. It's a challenge for Shakur. It's not a guaranteed win, but it's one he's still favored and one I think he'll win. But I'm just really excited to see this fight go down. It'll be 12 rounds this time instead of 10 because it was stupid. It was only 10 last time. On the co-main event there, you have Oscar Collazo versus Edwin Cano Hernandez for the WBO and WBA and Ring Magazine minimum weight titles. I really want to see Oscar Collazo unify or move up. We know that there is another minimum weight title fight on Sunday between Melvin Jerusalem and Yude Shigeoka, which we're going to talk about in a minute. I like to see the winners of those fights. They're going to be on the exact same timetable. But, yeah, I'm really excited to see KO Yazo return. He is one of the best fighters in those lower weight divisions, and because he's in the lowest division, you nobody really hears about him, but he is fantastic. He's a big puncher. He's exciting to watch, and I'm really looking forward to see him perform yet again. And I think he should win this fight again as well. Also on the card, you have the return of Robin Serwin Safar, who obviously beat Sergey Kovalev on Ring of Fire in May and hasn't fought since then. It's really weird that it took him so long to get a promoter, but I'm excited to see him return at cruiserweight. Should get a good win. Joselito Velasquez versus Adolfo Castillo Gonzalez on the card as well. Don't really know those guys, but we'll see. And then opening up the card, and I'm shocked this is opening up the card, I think it should be later, is Yokasta Valle versus Marlon Esparza. These are two former unified champions. When I say unified champions, former unified champions, I mean this time last year they both had multiple belts. And, I understand that women's boxing is not as big as men's boxing, but this is a terrific matchup. And these are two of really, like, Golden Boy's only three top women's fighters. They have Gabriela Vendora and then these two. And I'm just kind of surprised that we saw this fight get made, honestly. But I'm really happy. Valle's moved up to 112 from, I think she was at 105 before. Now she's at 112. And I think that her and Marlon Esparza should be a great fight. I do think that Yokasta Valle is the more complete fighter overall. But this is Esparza's weight class. So we'll see who wins. But I'm going to pick Valle. We'll see, though. So that's the Zepeda. Really excited for that one. That'll be in Cancun in Mexico. Also in Mexico, this time in Mexico City, we have UFC Fight Night in Mexico City with Brandon Moreno versus Steve Erceg. And I'm really excited for this one. The issue is that I love both these guys. They're both nice guys, and you hate to see two nice guys fight because one of them's got to lose. And I do think that the loser will be Steve Erceg. He's on a 2-fight losing streak, and I hate that they gave him such a tough fight yet again, but the game's the game. And he's in there really tough with Brandon Moreno, who I just think has been in better form recently. And I think that in Moreno's, the more hometown fighter, so I think that he'll probably get the win. I'm not sure how, but I do see him winning. Raul Rosas Jr. returns on this card as well. Very excited to see him. Chihuihuis. That one should be good. You've got Joe Pyfer versus Kelvin Gastelum, which is a fight I'm really excited for, and I kind of got nervous for a second because I saw somebody post on Twitter, although I guess it was fake, that Gastelum came in 31 pounds over, and I was like, geez, like, how do you even do that? He came in way over light heavyweight for a middleweight fight, but it's whatever. I don't think that was real, and looks like we're still going to get that fight tomorrow, and that's good because that's one of the ones I was most excited for. I'm trying to pull up the rest of the card here. It's not loading, but yeah, I'm very excited for UFC Mexico. I think it's 13 fights in total, so it should be a pretty fun night. As for how many people to watch them all, they're all on at the same time, this card as well as the two boxing cards, so I hope there's a way that they all line up well, but, we'll see. And if any of them get pushed to the side, it'll be this one because I am a boxing guy. But yeah, this should be a pretty good card. I know that Kevin Borjas, I believe his name, is fighting in a good fight. Can't remember the guy he's fighting, but that should be good. And then you've got also this weekend, we mentioned it, in Japan, you have a Kameda Promotions doubleheader. They're not on the same card, which I thought they were going to be, but they're on two different days. So on Saturday morning, you'll have Angel Ayala versus Masamichi Yabuki in a fantastic fight at flyweight. I do think that Yabuki will win this one, and then he'll be in a really good division at flyweight. Your champions are Kenshiro Taraji, who's unified WBA and WBC. WBO is Anthony Alascuaga. Kind of controversial that last fight, but he is the champion, and Angel Ayala. And he still has a chance to win. Very good. He's coming up from 108. I expect him to win this fight, and hopefully we get to see some bigger fights made at flyweight like we've been seeing recently. Other fight this weekend in Japan is Melvin Jerusalem Yude Shigeoka 2. It was a split decision fight last time that Jerusalem got the nod in. Jerusalem has had a fight since then, as I believe Shigeoka has as well. So I'm excited for this rematch. As for who wins, I really don't know. I do know that Jerusalem has already fought Koyazo, and I feel like Shigeoka versus Koyazo could be the bigger fight. And I know that that's nothing to do with prediction, but just thinking about what I'd rather see. To be honest, I don't really watch a lot of the lower weight class boxing just because it's so hard to find. It's not on DAZN or ESPN, so you got to look for it. I'm hoping these fights are on YouTube or something, able to watch them, but no promises. I can see a possibility where Jerusalem does the same thing he did last time and beats him by decision, or I can see Shigeoka pulling off a big upset. Or I don't even know if that's an upset. I really don't know. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to say Jerusalem, sure. Even though that's against my rematch code, because Shigeoka was favored last time, I'm going to say Jerusalem because I think that usually once the champ gets some time to go back and, make another defense, they usually prove, okay, I am the champion, and they're more confident, and they get the job done. If it's an immediate rematch, the other guy wins, I feel, sometimes. But yeah, excited for those ones. In Manchester, actually the exact same venue that they had the Matchroom card in today will be BKFC, headlined by the Featherweight UK Championship. Yes, that's a real thing. Jono Chip Chase versus Gary Fox, and that's a real name. Chip Chase is 3-0. Fox is 3-2. I don't think that really matters, but I'm just going to say Chip Chase wins because of his record. I don't really know either of these guys. But, it's BKFC. It should be fun. I think it's 12 fights overall, so looking forward to that. Some good scraps. And then the co-main event, you have Jack Cullen, who is a former British and Commonwealth boxing champion, making his BKFC debut. So I'm looking forward to that one a good bit. I'm just interested to see more boxers transition into BKFC. We know most of the time it's UFC fighters that go over, which is weird because I feel like it's more similar to boxing, at least in terms of the discipline. It's the same sport, except you just take the gloves off and you can, grab each other a little bit more. But I don't know. I'm interested to see who decides, I'm giving up on boxing and going here. And he'll obviously be fighting Jacob Kosicki, who is 0-1. So Jack Cullen should get the win, but you never know. I'm looking forward to seeing this show, though. Second BKFC show this week, and they got 2 more next week. They're on a big run. And the last fight card of this weekend will be on Sunday in York Hall, and that will be Konstantin Ursu versus Ethan James. I want to say I'm looking forward to this. I think that the main event is good. I think it'll be competitive. I am a little bit worried about how exciting it will be because Ethan James is a very boring fighter. He has 13 wins and no knockouts, which is crazy. And Ursu is 12-0 with 5 knockouts, so better. But this will be 12 rounds for the Commonwealth Championship, and I bet it'll go the distance. I hope it's exciting, but the last time I watched a top-tier show, it bored me to death. They've just got a lot of British prospects that just don't even go for it, and they match him up so terribly with all these journeymen. You've got Keomin Agyarko, I know I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, who's 15-0 and is ranked at number 8 by the WBO, I think. And he's fighting in an 8-rounder against Harley Collison, who's 3-1-2. I mean, what the hell are you doing in this fight? I don't get it. That is such a pointless fight. He is ranked top 10 by one of the sanctions. He can be fighting someone else and getting towards a world title shot. And even if it's not somebody else that's ranked, you can fight at least a decent opponent. You're fighting a guy who has a 50% win rate, and he's only had 6 fights. That's such a waste of time. Stuff like that just pisses me off. And then the third, the featured fight, I guess you could say, is Kevin Revell versus Grant Dennis, which is 5-4-1 versus 19-8. So not a very quality card. You've got a lot of prospects on it, and I don't want to dog on it too much because I do like the product that they're trying to do. I just think that I'd like to see them get some better fights on the cards, or some better fighters that can get knockouts and stuff, because I don't want to watch 2 journeymen fight, and I don't want to watch a prospect who's 6-0 with 0 knockouts go the distance over 6 rounds with somebody who doesn't throw a punch at them. I just don't really like that aspect of British boxing. But that'll be on Sunday on DAZN. Just throw it on in the afternoon. Why not? Should be a good weekend of fights. Let's get into some news because we got some good stuff. Okay, so we've got some really interesting topics, and the first one we're going to start with is Deontay Wilder. His return to the ring has been announced by Global Combat Collective, which is the same promotion that did the Alicia Baumgardner-Delphine Pursoon fight in September in Atlanta. It was a really cool venue that they did, where they had it was almost like a mini sphere where they had, a totally virtual venue, I guess, but not a lot of seats there. And it was all a very highbrow, black tie event. Hoping that this is not the same. I think it's at a smaller arena, so hopefully it's just a normal event. Although it did look cool, I just didn't really have a good atmosphere to it. And it'll be in Wichita, Kansas on June 27th, so a Friday evening on BLK Prime, which we know that he was in talks with to return on, and he'll be against Tyrell Herndon, who is 24-5. I'll say this is better than Curtis Harper. It's better than Curtis Harper, so I don't want to complain too much. but this is still just a little bit of like all right, what are we trying to accomplish here? Because you've done it. You've been to the top of the world. You were the world champion. It's clear that you're not who you once were in the ring, so why are we still going to try and go out there? And the issue is that he's going to win this fight for sure. It's a 10-rounder. He's going to win it, and once he does, he's still a big name, and he'll get a big fight after that. We don't know who that could be against, but he'll get a big fight, and he could get hurt again, and he could get knocked out, and I think he's 40 or something like that now. It's just unnecessary. I think it's time to hang him up. I do want to still see him in big fights. Part of me does, because he is the Bronze Bomber and he's such a fun character, and he does have a devastating right hook, but it looks like the instinct is completely gone, and that's not safe to be in the ring anymore. So we'll see if he gets another big knockout. Maybe people will get false hope, but I don't think that he ever gets a win at world level again. The IBF is set to order Daniel Dubois, Derek Chisora on April 22nd is when they're going to do it. Okay, we need to make sure Daniel Dubois, Alexander Usyk 2 happens, because, or Daniel Dubois, Joseph Parker, anything. This is, oh my goodness. I really hope that this just doesn't happen. Like we just talked about Deontay Wilder, Derek Chisora is older than him, and even though he's been in better form recently, he should not be fighting someone like Daniel Dubois, who is, again, maybe the biggest puncher in the division right now. We talked about it last episode, how I didn't think this fight should happen. I don't know if it really will happen, but it sounds like some people were like, maybe that could happen. And the IBF is now saying they're actually going to order it, which is honestly laughable. And Derek Chisora is not going to move off it because he wants a big fight for his last one. I would like to see him against somebody like Deontay Wilder or Dillian White or Francis Ngannou, who are still big punchers, but not Daniel Dubois. Ngannou is, but Ngannou's not a boxer per se. I really just don't like this fight a lot. I don't think it'll happen. I think that it's going to be Daniel Dubois, Alexander Usyk, if they can get a deal done, which I think that they should be able to. It's just weird that we're hearing that they could be negotiations, but nothing's really moving on that. So I don't know what is going on, but I hope we see that, because I don't want to see Dubois Chisora. I'd rather see Chisora fight Dillian White in a trilogy. This will probably be the title of this episode. It's Conor McGregor retiring. So he was at the BKFC card last night at the post-fight press conference. He was asked about, what we think is next for him, and he talked about visiting the White House and, his role in politics and and that his country of Ireland was bleeding and that he wants to find a way to help it, and that's what his focus is on right now. And he said he's happy with what he's done in the fight game. And that shocked me and we really shouldn't be shocked. We should have seen this was coming, but just for years, we've been given false hope. Him saying, "Yeah, I'm going to come back to the UFC. I'm injured," and he even had a fight booked with Michael Chandler. That didn't happen. He's talked about wanting to fight in BKFC several times. I'm going to fight in BKFC next. I'm going to fight Jeremy Stevens. Talking about me and Logan Paul are fighting in India. It's going to happen. Like all these fights that he says are happening, and so much over the years. He hasn't fought since July of 2021, and we still think he's going to fight again. And it seems like he's now been like, yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. And that really did surprise me, because if you ask me, will he fight in the UFC again? I'd say, maybe not. But BKFC, I thought that he would. He's an owner there. He really loves it, and I could totally see him wanting to fight in the BKFC at least once. But it looks like those days may be behind him. Who knows? He's very fickle. He could say this and then decide in a few months that he does want to fight. But I really don't know. I don't know why he's not fighting at all right now. And the fact that he hasn't fought in 4 years makes me think that he's not fighting again. But it's just such an interesting story. It's so crazy. And, I don't know. It's just I think that, honestly, if he were to retire 4 years ago, it would have been better than him on this goose chase, claiming that he's not retired and talking about fights and stuff when he will never step back into the cage or a ring or whatever. I do hope we get to see him fight again, just because he's Conor McGregor, but who knows if we will. Alex Pereira will accept the rematch for Magomed Ankalaev when they send it. He says that an August rematch has been discussed. I think that will be at UFC 319, if I'm correct. I don't know where it'd be, but that looks like it'll probably be what's happening. Alex likes to stay active. 5-month turnaround is nothing for him. Ankalaev, I'm sure, would be ready by then as well. And I'm not mad at this at all. I think that the rematch is necessary. It was still a close fight. I thought Magomed did win, but I think it was a close fight. Pereira has been a huge star for the UFC. He had not the longest title run in terms of years, but he had 3 or 4 defenses. So I think that he is worthy of an immediate rematch. And I think that fight totally calls for one. There's not a clear contender outside of Yuri, and I would like to see Magomed Yuri, but I think Yuri could have another fight to solidify his place as the contender. So yeah, we will see what happens, but it looks like Pereira Ankalaev 2 should be happening in August. Let's talk about Jake Paul. So we heard the other day Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua. Jake Paul randomly calls out Anthony Joshua, then he's on the phone with him. It seems like Anthony Joshua actually wants to fight him as a big money fight, and people are saying, oh, I wouldn't be mad at seeing it. And Eddie Hearn is saying that they'd be open to it. And I'm like, what? You'd be open to it? And it's clear what's going on now is that Mike Tyson fight made so much money that Canelo wants a piece of him, Gervonta Davis wants a piece of him, Anthony Joshua wants a piece of him, Alexander Usyk wants a piece of him. We'll talk about Usyk right now. He just posted a poster. It's obviously not a real poster, but a poster of him and Jake in MMA, so like tagging Jake Paul. Oh, are we going to do it? And it seems like Team Usyk saying that they want to do it. And I don't know if I think Usyk would want to do a Dubois fight first and then move into an MMA fight with Jake Paul. It's so random that he would decide to do MMA with Jake Paul, but it would be more even fight, I guess, because neither of them are traditionally MMA guys. And if either one, you would probably push it to Jake Paul just because he's not as, dedicated to being a boxer. He's not as well trained as a boxer, and it'd be, I don't know. And he does have wrestling experience, I guess, and he's been slated to fight in the PFL. It'd be a huge event, but I don't know if that one's feasible really. And Anthony Joshua I don't think will happen at all, but it's just crazy that Matchroom is actually interested in doing it. And it's just because of what he did with Mike Tyson and how much money he made. That's it. That's why Tank wants it. That's why Canelo wanted it. I really don't know. And then, of course, you had the Tommy Fury exchange on Twitter. Tommy Fury wants to do a rematch with him. Jake Paul said, I'll give him $3-4 million. Tommy Fury said, that's not enough. Dude, take your money. There is no fight out there for Tommy Fury at all. He had Darren Till and he fumbled it. KSI rematch is still there, I guess. And now he's got Jake Paul rematch, which is the biggest. Either one of those. Probably the Jake Paul one now. And he isn't going to take either of them because he thinks he's worth more than $4 million. That is by far the best deal you're going to get. You will not get that kind of money anywhere else. Anywhere else. There is no demand for you except for if you're fighting Jake Paul or KSI. That's it. So I don't know what's going on there. He's kind of an idiot. But I would like to see that fight run back. I thought it was close. I did think Tommy Fury won. But yeah, he's just handling it very badly. Naoya Inoue, Mirjan Akhmadaliev are finalizing a deal for September 14th in Tokyo. We knew this was happening, but it's just so good to hear it's finally looking like it's going to get signed, sealed, and delivered because we've been waiting on this fight for so long. And I know that Akhmadaliev is still he's still almost certainly not going to beat Inoue, but he at least has some kind of a chance. And of anybody, he's the number 2 in the division, and he should be fighting the number 1 in the division. That's it. It doesn't matter if Inoue will still blow the water out of him. We need to, or blow him out of the water. We still need to have number 1 fight number 2 for undisputed. And my only worry is something bad happens with Cardenas, and I don't think Inoue will lose that, but if he gets cut or something, but I do want to see Inoue Akhmadaliev very bad. I think it's a big fight. And then after that, if he doesn't fight Nakatani immediately, move up to 126. But I need to see Inoue Nakatani. Okay, what else? Golden Boy announced their next card. This will be April 19th, and it will be the return of one Gabriela Fundora. She is going to be defending her undisputed flyweight world titles that she won in November and got herself a Ring Magazine Fighter of the Year award. She will be in there with, what's her first name? Marilyn Badillo, who was the number 1 IBF rank, so she's the mandatory they called. It'll be for undisputed. Co-main event will be Charles Conwell versus Jorge Perez, former world champion. Now listen, Conwell-Perez is a good fight. It is a much better fight than what Conwell has been fighting, but it's one that Conwell should still win, and should he win this, I want him in a top fight, like a title eliminator, another undefeated big guy at 154. This is a much bigger improvement. This will be his toughest fight yet, but and enough with the prep fights. Like, I just want to see him get in there because he's very good, and I want to see him, prove it on the world level. As for Fundora, I think that she's something else. I really do. I think that she's phenomenal, and I don't know too much about Badillo, but I assume that it'll be nothing Fundora can't handle. I think this is a great doubleheader, and I'm very excited for it. April 19th, let's do it. So that should be a good fight card in just a few weeks' time. Okay, what else? WBC have set purse bids for Billy Pacheco. Yeah, they weren't able to reach a deal. My only worry is that I think that in Billy and I, the Tiger, are totally into this fight. I think that Matchroom and Pacheco are only interested if they can have it in California. So if they lose this purse bids, which I think that they may, I think that they're just going to drop it and they're going to move ahead with Pacheco versus McCumbee, which I'm not mad at. I think that's still a good fight, but I would much rather see Pacheco and Billy. That is number 2 versus number 3. Winner gets Canelo. Interim world title fight. That is exactly what we need in that division. And I'd be disappointed if it doesn't happen because it's a 50-50 fight, 2 big punchers, and I would just love to see it so much. It's one of the best fights we can make right now in the sport. Okay, so this is some other big news. So the IBF has accepted Paddy Donovan's appeal, for Lewis Crocker to have the mandatory position, and they are going to rematch. It has been ordered an immediate rematch. They're both with Matchroom. This fight is going to happen again, thank God, because that was such a crazy story. What happened, Paddy Donovan was totally winning the fight. He was dominating, but he was losing points. He was kind of he was holding, I think, or it was headbutts, and then he obviously hit Crocker too late, and that kind of knocked Crocker down, and he wasn't able to recover, and so the fight got called off, and it got called a disqualification loss for Paddy Donovan. And you feel terrible for him because he did everything right except for that he didn't, and he was dirty. Not intentionally, but just was too into it, and that cost him because he was fighting a perfect fight outside of that. And as for Crocker, obviously he didn't really get the fair shake, but he gets the win, and him and Billy Nelson looked like they were going to try and take the mandatory position and run away with it, which I would have been really annoyed at, and I think everybody would have hated because that is so low to get the mandatory status on a technicality and not give the guy a rematch and just move on and take it and run away. I thought that would have been really scummy, but they don't get the choice to. I'm not saying that they would, but if they would have, I would not sit well with me. And it looks like we're going to get an immediate rematch, which was the best thing to do. Some people are calling for a stadium fight. I think it could do a stadium. I wouldn't be mad if they did a stadium, but I'm also not mad if they just do an arena because I think that the SSC arena is really good and they had a fantastic atmosphere in there. I can't wait to see this one run back. Hopefully they do it this summer, and it'll be a lot bigger this time around for sure. Edgar Berlanga hopes to fight Jaime Munguia this year over Caleb Plant. He says Plant is he says that the Munguia fight is bigger, and says that he can get a first round KO over Munguia, which I think that he saw that knockout that Taras had on Munguia and now feels like, I can do that. I'm a bigger puncher than him, which is true, but that doesn't mean you'll 100% knock him out. I think Munguia probably beats Berlanga. I'm not confident in that, but I think he does. I think Berlanga Plant is by far the best fight, and I'm really worried that Berlanga is going to try and back out of it now because that is the fight to make between 2 American 168-pounders. It's a brilliant fight, and I'd be so disappointed if we don't get that one next because it's just such a good fight. And there's so much hate there, and they really don't like each other. It's just the exact fight that we need next in that division. In addition to Billy Pacheco, there's a lot of fights at 168 that I want to see them fight each other. And I wouldn't be mad at Berlanga Munguia, but I would much prefer Berlanga Plant. Okay, so Times Square, it looks like there will be no tickets available for that card, according to Eddie Hearn. I don't know how that's going to work. From the sounds of it, what he says is that there will be people there, but it'll just be people involved with the event. So if they're going to shut down Times Square and not even have fans there, that I think is a mistake. Because even though it's going to look cool in Times Square, you want to have thousands of people standing around and watching. That is what's going to make it special. So I really hope that that's what they mean. And they shouldn't be charging tickets because it should be something you just walk up and see. That'd be awesome. I know they also don't want to flood the streets, but if they block it off to just have a few people there ringside, it would suck. It wouldn't suck, but it wouldn't be ideal. Okay, the WBA have ordered Seiya Tsutsumi versus Antonio Vargas. This is a banger. It will be an all-action fight. It'll be very good. 2 top 118 pounders. Seiya Tsutsumi obviously just retained his WBA bantamweight title in a draw he had with Daigo Higa a couple weeks ago in a fight that I thought that he won. They didn't order a trilogy, which I'm glad because they've drawn twice now. I don't really need to see it again. I know that Tsutsumi beat him that night. I hope I'm not the only one, but I saw Tsutsumi win that. Anyways, Vargas is the interim champion right now. I think that him and Tsutsumi is a really good fight. I think it's one that Tsutsumi would probably win, but it should be a really entertaining fight. And, I'm very excited that they ordered that one. It should be good. Okay, some last few tidbits, and then we'll head out. Peter Yan versus Umar Nurmagomedov is apparently being targeted for UFC 318, so this will be their card in July. We don't know where that is yet, but this is a fantastic fight for them to do at bantamweight. This will be your title eliminator. Both these guys are Umar's not coming off a win, but he had the win over Sandhagen, and then he had the loss to Merab in the title fight. Meanwhile, you got Sandhagen and Figueiredo fighting. Figueiredo just lost to Jan, so you can have those two fight while Merab and Sean run it back, and then the winner of this goes into the title fight with Merab or Sean. I think Merab will probably beat Sean, and to be honest, I kind of feel like Umar might beat Peter Yan. Either way, it'll be a rematch, I think, for always around, unless it's Sean versus Umar. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this, and I think that they should book this fight. I think that is the best fight to do in that division, and they're the clear 3 and 4, if you ask me. GBM Sports is going to do a show in Ireland in June. They're on a good run. They got York Hall on April 4th, May 23rd, a big show in the stadium with Terry Harper, world title fight. Very good card there, and then in Ireland in June. And I just pointed this out because they're really building themselves up very well, and I think that they're about to be like the 4th major player in the UK. I don't think that they'll be as big as Matchroom or Queensberry or even Boxer, at least not for a while, but they're going to start to get recognized as, hey, this is another promotion that is significant, and we got to make sure we're not clashing shows with them. They're putting on good shows. They're going to get attention. They're going to grow their brand a lot, and I don't know, I just think that they're growing very well. I don't think that they're going to be one of the big 3, but they're going to be a 4th player, and I'm excited to see these shows. Okay, BKFC announced on their show last night they'll be returning to Sturgis in South Dakota. This is like the motorcycle rally where they had like 18,000 people standing there. I thought that looked super cool, and I'm just excited to see it run and them go back. It's on August 2nd, so far away, but I think that's like the exact same weekend they had it there last year. So, it should be a pretty cool venue yet again, and hopefully they put some big fights on it, and I know the atmosphere is going to be crazy, to say the least. Last thing, the WBC have announced that their Riyadh season tournament, the Grand Prix, the first round will be the weekend of April 17th through 20th, so that's a Thursday through a Sunday, if I'm correct. It'll be free. They said free. You can book free tickets now at the theater in Riyadh somewhere, so that's pretty cool. It'll be on DAZN. The issue here is that they're doing the whole first round. So they have 32 fighters per division, so that's, I guess there's 4 divisions, so I'm guessing they're going to do 1 division a day, but that's 16 fights in each division for the first round. So you're saying you're going to do 64 fights in 1 weekend, all there, in addition to the other boxing and MMA and BKFC cards. That's like a lot. So I don't know if I'm going to choose to watch all of those fights, because there's going to be a lot of people I've never heard of. But I will watch definitely later on once it gets to like the last couple rounds. I'll be watching that, and I may still watch it but I don't know. That's a lot of fights that don't really mean a lot right now. But that's all I've got today. Thank you so much for listening. I'll do another episode on Sunday, when we break down all the weekend's action. Some really good fights tomorrow, and I'm very excited. But thank you for listening. And have a good weekend. Stay safe. Peace out.